$8.99. Hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. $8.99. Recover. Same way in. Okay.
Hello, my name is Adam Miller. I grew up in Dillon, South Carolina, which I don't know, for many of you guys who don't know, is about an hour northwest of here. And our family moved to the area in the late 1990s and have lived in the area ever since. I am 22 years old and I'm finishing up my bachelor's at Thomas Edison State University and am ideally going to be walking onto the House floor in Columbia, South Carolina in January as I finish. For some reason this is humming a little bit. But anyway, I just long to represent the people of District 56. Thank you. And I long to represent the people of District 56. When we first introduced our candidacy, I'm pleased to announce that all of us sat and listened to the problems of opioid abuse in House District 56. And, you know, it about brought me to tears, honestly, to hear of the crisis that this county faces and our state has to endure. It's something that really connects deeply to me. My father was and still is an alcoholic, and so substance abuse is something that really hits home with me. And so I understand where people are coming from. So if you want somebody that can emotionally connect to you in that aspect, I can. If you have someone that you know and love that has dealt with that, I can relate. If you want someone that can relate to you about not making enough, my mom and my stepfather have never made above $30,000 their entire career. I know what it's like when you don't make enough. If you want to have someone, if you know or have someone close to you that has served in the military. My brother, my stepfather, my father have all served in the military. I know what it is like. I have had to see friends and family go off to drill or get shipped off to foreign lands, so I understand what it's like. So that is why I'm running. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I want to thank JJ and the students for allowing me to be here. And even more so, I would like to thank you for being here, for you spending your time to be out here to hear what I have to say for this candidacy and running for this house. So thank you. My name is Dwyer Scott. I've been part of this community since 1997 when I was a student at Coastal Carolina University, and I moved back here in 2003 as a doctor of chiropractic with a Bachelor of Science degree and opened up a business and started a family, and I've been here part of this community for 15 years. I love Carolina Forest. I love Myrtle Beach. We have the potential in this county to be the stronghold of the entire state. We have the people, we have the brains, we have the money, and it's my responsibility now to address issues that are going on that are somewhat symptomatic. I'm a doctor. I've been wired to recognize problems, hear complaints and frustrations, and find solutions to these problems. I'm very passionate about helping out the community. I've been doing it for 15 years, and I'm really ready to not only just serve the public, but be a public servant. I'm very interested in helping out with the road issues, the infrastructure issues. I'm very passionate about helping out on a state level and a local level, of helping out on the level with public safety and police. Crime is getting outrageous, and it's going to get worse unless we have someone bold, strong, and confident enough to address these issues both on a state level and a local level. I'm very excited about this opportunity. I'm very excited to continue to meet all of you. And I look forward to the evening tonight. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I want to really thank the students at Carolina Forest High School for putting this on. We all had the opportunity to speak to them a few weeks ago, and I got to say they really are a bright bunch of kids who have a good, firm grasp on what's happening in their community. I'm used to being on that side of a debate, so you guys just hang in there. It's a lot tougher for us over here, believe me. As many of you know, I was anchor at WPDE for 8 years, and my wife and I now own the famous toastery here in Carolina Forest. I can't wait to serve you in the State House. I am excited as beyond the word for it. This is such a great community, but we need a lot more. We're an aging community in that we're 20 years old. Our infrastructure was never really there to begin with. People didn't plan for the kind of growth that we saw. We need, and I think all three of us will probably tell you here tonight, yes, we need more law enforcement. Yes, we need better and more roads. Yes, we need these things because we need to draw industry here. We need jobs here, more than just service jobs, though service jobs aren't bad, especially at the famous toastery. But we do. We need good jobs. And I say that I'm running because the most important thing in my life is my family. I want the best for them. We chose to make this home for them. I want them to be able to find a good job when they get out of school and come here, not have to go to Charlotte, not have to go to Atlanta, but be able to stay here and raise families of their own. We're growing. We're one of the fastest growing communities in the country. We deserve what a fast growing community deserves. Great roads, a great place to live. I encourage you all to listen to what we all have to offer tonight. Make the best choice you can come next week. And as I said, I look forward to serving you. Thank you.
Okay, we will now move on to the topic of issues regarding Carolina Forest. And the first question is for...
Can you speak up, please? Yes, the mic isn't working. That's my mic.
First question is for Mr. Scott. You may. The first question is, Carolina Forest is a quickly growing part of District 56. Recent census data shows that the 29579 zip code having just over 30,000 residents, which makes it the largest community in Morgan County. With that being said, what are the options for Carolina Forest and what do you agree with and why? And we have 4 options. 1, remaining unincorporated as we are now. Number 2, creating a special tax district and helping with basic needs. Number 3, being annexed to a neighboring city like Myrtle Beach or Conway. And number 4, to complete the incorporation of Carolina Forest into its own city.
Thank you, Matthew. So the 4 options for Carolina Forest for the future that have been given are unincorporated, a special tax district, city annexation, or to incorporate as our own city. Carolina Forest has the potential to do anything, any of those 4. The growth and the people and the population, we actually have the potential and the power as we continue to grow to do any option that we want. And we're going to come together with this civic association and the people of our the citizens of Carolina Forest. We're going to come together and decide what's the best path to go. Now, unincorporating, a lot of us are here because of the tax benefits, and that's great. I enjoy that. A lot of us enjoy that, and currently right now, considering the situation and the things that we need to gain, that we deserve first before moving forward, I think that's the smartest bet. That's the smartest way to go, considering the pros and cons of where we're at. A special tax district, I'm not interested in raising taxes, and I don't think you want more taxes also. City annexation with either Conway or Myrtle Beach, that's an option. Right now, we're the red-headed stepchild, and I don't think we could even get the agreement from those 2 currently. But that's all right, because no matter what we do, we have to build relationships with both the city of Conway and the city of Myrtle Beach. Lastly, to incorporate. to become our own city. That is an option, and it will allow us the opportunities that we want. However, I feel like currently at this situation that we should look at our resources and the funds that we have. Thank you. And the funds that we have to do what we can do now. Thank you.
Mr. Miller, you are next. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Carolina Forest is a quickly growing part of District 56, and recent census data shows that the 29579 zip code has just over 30,000 residents, which makes it the largest community in the county. With that being said, which of the options for Carolina Forest do you agree with and why? Number 1, remaining unincorporated as we are now. Number 2, creating a special tax district to help with basic needs. Number 3, being annexed to a neighboring city such as Conway or Myrtle Beach. And lastly, number 4, to complete the incorporation of Carolina Forest in its own city.
One thing that I have ran this entire campaign on is to give the people of Carolina Forest a decision, to give them a referendum so that they can decide if they want to become incorporated. I think they should, and I think if given the decision, they would. So, in short, that is my answer. With that. So, yes, that's my answer. A very short one at that.
I think I'm good with the question. Hopefully feedback's done. Okay. I'm reminded of the famous quote from Ronald Reagan about government. You know, the scariest words in the human language. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That's what incorporation means to me. I don't think we need another layer of government at this point. I am not for incorporation. I think if we did it right now, it would fall on the backs of all the people who live in Carolina Forest, who live in District 50, who live in Carolina Forest, to pay for it. It's something that we can't afford. Just setting up the infrastructure, the cost of it would just be too astronomical without having industry here as a tax base. As we grow, as we lure industry here, which is what we need to do, we need to make District 56 and Carolina Forest open for business. Smart, well thought out, planned business, but business. I am very pro-business, and I think if we eventually, years down the road, have enough businesses here, it's something we could consider. As far as annexing into Conway or the city of Myrtle Beach, you see what's going on in the city of Myrtle Beach right now? I don't think we really need to be a part of that. As far as Conway goes, you look at both cities. Myrtle Beach has tourism, and that's going to be a big draw for them, and it's going to support them and keep them going. Conway has the county seat and has a lot of professional offices. That's great for them, and it's going to keep them going. We have a lot of great people living in our district, but we do not have a strong business center yet that could support it. As far as a tax district, it's something we could look into for certain parts of the area, but I don't think it's a solution for all of Carolina Forest. Time. Thanks.
Question 2. As you may know, all local citizens who now reside in the city of Myrtle Beach are required to pay for parking at the beach. Do you have a plan to eliminate this problem, and if so, what initiatives are you willing to take to provide an equitable situation for locals?
Yes, so I actually had the opportunity to meet with Rich Malzone and several others with the Make Myrtle Beaches Free, Clean, and Safe, and they actually are the ones that brought this first to my attention. And I've read it over very thoroughly. I've read over the bill that Kevin Hardy and Jeff Johnson pre-filed within the State House that would basically prohibit them from charging for on-street parking, and it could only be approved by the General Assembly. I'm here to say that I would support that measure, and even would go as far to say that I might pre-file my own bill that would even prohibit the General Assembly from doing just that, prohibiting any coastal city along the beach to move forward in that direction. So I'm a very short, concise man. So, yes.
Mr. McGinnis, you may answer next. Would you like the question repeated?
Parking. I think I can. We know it. And I want to disagree with Mr. Miller. I'm short. As far as parking's concerned, I'm a business person. And I look at what's happening at the beach, and I cannot believe that the local businesses would allow the city to pass a law that would keep people who live on this side of the water from being able to enjoy parking at the beach that we all moved here to enjoy. I don't understand it. I understand the piece of legislation that's being talked about. I also believe in home rule. I don't believe that the state has business telling the municipalities what laws they can and can't make without very, very, very careful consideration. What we need are people who can build the relationships with whoever wins in the City of Myrtle Beach race and get people together. I will bring groups together to talk about this, and we will come up with a solution that is fair and equitable. It needs to stop, and we all need to enjoy parking at the beach. If you come into my restaurant, I have a lot of pictures that I took at the beach, and I haven't taken any in a while, because I don't go to the beach and pay $4 or $5 every time I want to go to the beach. We will go someplace else where the parking's free. We need free parking at the beach, and we need to work it out with the city, and we need to do it sooner than later. Time.
Mr. Scott, you may answer next.
So in being citizens of the county, we're already paying for those beaches. They're our beaches. We deserve to be there. The amount of money that our population is sending to the state, and the state is sending back to the city of Myrtle Beach, is astronomical, and we deserve to have access to those beaches. We all understand why it happened, without getting into the details and the drama behind it all. We know why it's all about the money. They want the money. There's also a certain disregard and neglect for specifically Carolina Forest and other people, other citizens in our community that aren't part of that community. We understand there's a certain agenda to keep a certain area of the beach private. And just because that's what you want doesn't mean it's right. So we're going to fight for that beach access. We're going to get that beach access. If you elect me, I'm going to do everything I can to go for that beach access so that we can get what we deserve and more. I'm going to support that bill. We're going to build those relationships, not only with the legislators to help get that bill passed, but hopefully we'll also do at the same time build a great relationship with the city of Myrtle Beach. Those beaches are our beaches, and we're going after those beaches. Thank you.
I had the pleasure to meet with David DeSunzo, and he is the president of Coastal Carolina University, and he even stated to me, it is just shocking to see the difference between 501 now and 501 10 years ago. And I think it's very evidential that if you are driving down that, just how the Carolina Forest area has grown. And so we look at Longs, which is a more rural community, again, like I said, where I reside, and we see that the disproportion of people is very, very unique. And I actually mentioned to Tim when we met with the Tea Party that a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually suspected that the district is going to split in 2020. And so it's very possible for one of us to get elected and us to serve with the other because of this district being suspected to split. But I think we've already talked about and discussed some of the major ride projects, and I hope that we are allowed to do are we scheduled to do a Q&A afterwards? And yes, that's good. So we can provide the opportunity for the people, you, to address any issues that you might want us to answer. So thank you.
I think I'm good. I can't remember who it was. It was either Alan Clemens or Tom Rice, or one of the first people I interviewed when I had a political show called Carolina This Week. And I asked the question, this was 8 years ago. I said, well, my son, who is, I think he was 3 at the time, will he be driving on I-16 when he turns 16? And the answer was, oh yeah, I think it will happen by then. Well, TJ's going to turn 12 next month, and I'm beginning to wonder if he's going to be driving on I-73 before his son turns 16. We need that to happen much quicker than it is. I would push for that to be a toll road so we can start getting the ball rolling to make that happen. It all does come down to money. I'd like to see more roads behind the subdivisions. I think that should have been planned out a long time ago to give us another way out other than just dumping traffic onto Carolina Forest Boulevard. Yes, we're a donor county. Yes, we have a lot more people riding on our roads than most other counties. But we have to go up against many other legislators, most of them who don't live in donor counties, who want to get our chunk of the change. We need to build relationships in Columbia to make that change. They're not going to willingly give us that money. That's why we need good representation for District 56, Carolina Forest in Columbia, to make those roads happen and make them happen as soon as possible.
So, let's try this again. Now we're moving on to education. For Mr. Scott, according to U.S. News and World Report, South Carolina is currently ranked 50th in education. This follows a trend of South Carolina consistently being ranked among the lowest in all 50 states for education, which has a negative impact on job readiness, the economy, government aid, and healthcare, just to name a few. To remedy this, would you support an increase in teacher salaries and a change in Act 388 to increase school funding from Columbia, even if it meant raising taxes?
Education is one of the most important things that we have. You know, as I'm a professional, I own a business, and I'm a doctor, and when I see patients, constantly I'm reminded of myself of the teachers that I had, even as early as elementary school. And I feel like teachers should be some of the most paid professionals that we have because of the influence they have on our children, and that's extremely important. As far as education goes, in Act 388 of 2006, one of the first things I would propose, if you elect me to go to the State House, is to go in and repeal that act that would allow our school board, that would allow our county council to start taking control of some of the funds that we have here. And if they elect us to use tax money and funds to pay teachers or policemen for what we need to serve this community, then I'm for it. If we as a people don't agree with what they do, then we would have to vote them out. But ultimately, I think it's extremely important to do whatever is necessary to take care of our servicemen, the policemen, as well as our teachers and our educators. And I do believe it will be an initiative of mine as fast as possible to get to the State House and put in a proposal to appeal Act 388 of 2006. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McGinnis?
Another quick story. Back 9 years ago now, when we were considering moving to Myrtle Beach from Illinois, one of our big concerns was schools. I mean, South Carolina does not have a great national reputation as having great schools. When I worked in Georgia, we had the joke that, you know, the state motto of Georgia is, at least we're not South Carolina when it comes to schools. And I think it's going to attack. Okay. So, yes, we need to do whatever we can to get more money for teachers so they can be competitive on a national level. When businesses think about locating here, they're not going to think about coming here if they hear about the reputation for South Carolina schools. Yeah, we've got great schools in Horry County. We've got great schools in District 56, including Carolina Forest High School. But we need to make sure that this is uniform throughout the entire state. We need good schools. We need to pay the teachers well. We need to look at the way taxes are allocated. We need to look at our accommodations tax. Do we need to do some shifting around with the accommodations tax to make more of that go to education? That's here in Horry County. We need to look at property taxes. At some point, we may need to look at how the money we collect in property taxes are allocated. Schools need to be a top priority if we're going to remain competitive and getting the great jobs that we deserve here.
first off, before we go any further, I just want to thank all the educators in the room. If we can give them a round of applause, that would be great. Let's give them a round of applause. I know that I personally would not be standing here if it wasn't for very dedicated teachers, very dedicated principals, and very dedicated coaches and people in our educational system. And so they are so vital to our students' future. I know it sounds kind of, it's very political to say they are our future, but it's so true. It's so true. And I think all of us will gracefully and purposefully fill the office of State Representative for District 56. Now, I want to look at how can we do that, because they are so important, to just our community, our state, and our nation. And that's one thing that, as a state legislator, is that I will do. I want to see ways to increase their pay. And I know something that I wanted to, quickly bring up, if my phone will work, is, I had the chance the other night, and I ran through about, if you can run through them, about 60 bills in the state legislature. And just really quickly, I just want to address this, that there's actually a bill, House Bill 4039, which summary states a bill to amend, it's legal talk, but it goes on to say, an attendance requirement in schools so as to increase from 17 to 18 the age of that child at which a parent or guardian basically no longer has the responsibility to cause a child to attend school. So basically we would be I would not only be looking at that, but also raising the age limit for that as well. So talk to me afterwards. I'm very passionate about that, as well as other things, but I'm going to sit down now. So.
Finally, we will be asking our final 3 questions. First question is for Mr. McGinnis. Currently, South Carolina allows the use of cannabis oil for certain medical issues, and in 2018, 2 medical marijuana bills will be debated in Columbia. If you are elected to the General Assembly, would you vote to keep our current standard, legalize medical marijuana, or push to allow marijuana to be used in a recreational form?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. Can I talk now? Something's gonna blow. Oh, okay. Am I okay over here? Yes. Some of you probably just like me to walk out the room, out the door. I think this is going to be something states are going to be facing over the next decade. Every state's going to have a discussion about it. Every state has had a discussion about it on some level. I think we need to give physicians the power to prescribe. If they wish to prescribe, that's their purview. It needs to be regulated by physicians, by medical doctors, by medical associations. It needs to be very stringently upheld. I think as far as recreational marijuana goes, it's way too soon to say whether that's a good road to go down to or not. Several states have already legalized it. We need to watch them. There are arguments for and against. One of the best ones I've heard for is about getting people who are addicted to opioids another avenue to go down. But then there are the arguments, what does it do to people who might be close to a psychotic break anyway? It could even push them further over the edge. I think it's a real slippery slope, something we're going to have to watch play out in other states before we make a decision, because we could be getting ourselves into a whole lot of trouble by legalizing that. That's the way I look at legalizing marijuana.
Thank you. And the next, Mr. Scott, you may answer next. Would you like the question repeated?
No, thank you.
You can take the mic.
So the question is, So the question is about cannabinoids, CBD oil, medical marijuana, and recreational marijuana. Being a doctor, I see a lot of people suffer. I see a lot of children suffer. And I don't think it's any of our right or the government's right to restrict something, especially that's natural, more natural than a lot of these dangerous medications that are being provided through pharmaceutical companies. I don't think it's our right to be able to restrict a mother from being able to give her children something that's helping them out. It's not our job. And if we know something out there that can help them, absolutely. I'm in favor of being able to allow mothers to be able to take care of their children, parents to take care of their children with what they know is best, especially compared to the other dangerous drugs, including the opioids and the issues that those things are leading to. As far as medical marijuana, again, something that helps someone out with minimal to no side effects compared to the dangerous drugs and medications that we're allowing to be out there right now, absolutely, I'm in favor for that. As far as recreational marijuana, I can't see anything great coming out of that. Now, it's something that we could pay attention to, and it doesn't look like prohibition worked in the past. So the key is to make the smart decisions. I don't see anything great coming out of it. However, I think there are a lot of important things we need to focus on, and giving parents and giving people with medical conditions the right and the ability to be able to get better more naturally. If that's our responsibility, that's something I would be in favor for sure. Thank you.
Mr. Hurley, you may answer next.
There we go. So I want people to understand where I'm coming from on this. My father was and still is an alcoholic, and I'm a big Christian as well. And I think people are, I always tell people activism is the key to a healthier church and the key to a healthier community, not only in District 56 but across the state. And I am, not in favor of either one. And but I would encourage that if there is a group in District 56 that is for it, as I'm sure there is, then I, encourage you to work with my heart and show me evidence to the contrary. I'm always open to hear what people have to say, and I long to understand. I long to listen to understand and not to respond. So thank you.
This first question is for you, Mr. Scott. Governor Henry McMaster called the growing opioid epidemic in South Carolina a hurricane that we can do something about. In June, he signed a bill that took about $1.5 million in state funds and applied them to creating a statewide database of doctors, patients, and addictive prescription drugs. Do you feel like this solution is enough, or do you plan on doing more to address this problem?
Thank you. Thanks, Janelle. The opioid epidemic is a national epidemic. I just left the Burrs and Chapin Auditorium for a opioid committee meeting led by Tom Rice and a lot of other officials and volunteers, including Russell Fry, today. The issue is being addressed. It's very dangerous, and it's getting worse than ever before. Tom Rice even said himself, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. I also attended a well put together opioid committee program at Coastal Carolina University, put together by the House of Representatives, addressing the issue. And along with Philip Thompson, the sheriff, and a lot of other elected and appointed officials in our county and our state, the entire state, they have a grip on what needs to happen. However, it's a difficult thing to attack. It's very difficult. Philip Thompson and the committee have 3 objectives. law enforcement, but just like he says, you can't lock away this problem. Law enforcement is one, education is number two, and treatment is number three. And with the resources and the leadership that we currently have, we're going to be able to tackle this, and we're going to take care of it before it gets too bad. Thank you.
That was weird. And I attended not the one today, but the previous opioid legislative hearing, the committee. And I'll tell you, that is something we're going to have to watch what comes out of that committee, because they've heard some powerful testimony. The head of that committee lost his son to opioid addiction. We have a problem, and I think a lot of it stems from lobbyists in Washington who are pushing their way to make sure that the overprescription of opioids can continue. I think some work was done toward stemming that this week, and I think we're going to see a lot more out of Washington on that. But meanwhile, we've got a mess to deal with here because it's very bad. Horry County, the worst in the state when it comes to overdoses. We need to make sure that our law enforcement officers have an adequate supply of Narcan so they can resuscitate these people. But we need to, as a community, look at ourselves and see what we can do to rehabilitate the people who are addicted. Peer-to-peer counseling is something that really works. And we heard some testimony about that when we were at that meeting at the Horry County courthouse. It's got to be tackled. It's going to affect all of us, whether we know it or not. It's already affected, I bet, people in this room. It's something that we're going to be dealing with. And addiction overall is awful. I lost somebody in my family very recently to alcohol addiction. We've got to come together. We've got to improve mental health in this state. We've got to treat the disease. I'm highly in favor of whatever we can do, but we can't legislate our way out of it. We got to come together as a community to tackle it.
Okay. Mr. Miller, if you could come up.
Governor Henry McMaster called the growing opioid epidemic in South Carolina a hurricane that he can do something about. In June, he signed a bill that took about $1.5 million in state funds and applied them to creating a statewide database of doctors, patients, and addictive prescription drugs. Do you feel like this solution is enough, or do you plan on doing more to address this problem?
I didn't know that, but that's very good. I'm very proud of Mr. McMaster. I actually had the pleasure to chat with him a little bit. I think it was last week, I think it was. And, you know, I don't even know if this thing is on. Is it even on?
That's on, that's the stream mic.
It's a what now?
That's the live stream mic.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. But yeah, this is something that really hits close to home with me. And this is, you know, my father, like I said, still is an alcoholic. I'm not trying to get pity from the audience, but this is something that I refuse to say that it doesn't start with anybody but the individual first. The person needs to come to a realization that they have a problem. And once that is met, you know, that realization is met by them, I agree with Mr. McGinnis that it is a communal effort and we should be rounding around this person. And we should be allocating state funds to make sure that they are able to get the help that they so desperately deserve. You know, if we have an alcoholic, or if we have someone struggling from heroin abuse, or you know, any type of abuse, and they come to the realization that they need help, why in the heck is the help not available? I mean, that's crazy, and I very much applaud Henry McMaster. And I would go to no further end than to see that we have the resources available if someone is struggling with this, and they need help to see that they get it.
All right. There are many ways of representing your constituents, but political scientists have identified two major ones, being the delegate and the trustee theory. The trustee theory states that the representative is entrusted by the constituents to use his own personal judgment to represent them in whatever chamber he's representing them in. The delegate theory is the opposite of that, saying that the representative must be reflecting the will of the people directly. So, with that in mind, Mr. Miller, if you could come back for a moment. We would like to know who was the top contributor to your campaign, and what type of impact do they have on you as either a delegate or a trustee?
None. None whatsoever. If you would like to donate to the campaign, I would like to say I would greatly appreciate it. Now, I think the person that has donated the most to my campaign is a good friend of mine. Her name's Carol Latour. She is actually from Indiana, but her husband is a physician, and they gave me around $200. So.
Thank you. Mr. Scott, if you could come up, please. We noticed that you had a lot of campaign signage well before your two opponents, and that you had also hired a campaign manager. We were wondering, where does your money come from, and what type of impact do your contributors and campaign manager have on you as a representative of District 56?
Thank you, Brandon. My funds have come over 90% from myself, and that came from hard work. That came from this community, serving this community over the past 15 years. I served this community really hard. I learned from the best in my industry. The best in holistic healthcare, I've learned from them. I've become very successful. I've become very successful in doing that. And I'm also doing the same thing with this campaign. I've hired the best to help me represent you, to teach me how to do it the best way. I've used my own funds. And I'm not interested in being influenced by lobbyists and special interest groups. I'm here to serve you. Now, by all means, any of you that would like to donate to my campaign, it's not a problem. However, I'm not asking for your money. I'm asking for your ideas and your thoughts. I'm asking for your support and your trust. And mostly, I'm asking for your vote, because I'm here for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. Mr. McGinnis, you're the only candidate in this election that has a TV ad, which is sponsored by the Citizens for Conservative Values. Their biggest supporter in 2016 was the Grand Strand Business Alliance, who gave them $30,000 according to the website Open Secrets. With that in mind, how would you demonstrate the delegate or trustee theory, seeing as your biggest supporter is someone or is a group outside of the district you represent?
I hadn't heard anything about that. Yeah, that's kind of an elephant in the room, and I'm happy to talk about that. I have no idea why anybody put ads out for me. I had no direct contact with anybody who put out any ads for me. If somebody wants to support me, that's fine. Quite frankly, if the Business Alliance didn't support me as a small businessman, I'd be kind of worried if they were behind somebody else, because that would mean I'm not a very good businessman. I am not ever going to be controlled by anybody. Nobody tells me what to do. Ask my wife. She tells me what to do. But no, it really kind of floors me that for 8 years, people knew I was the one that held the powerful accountable, that I was the one that would ask anybody the question that went on the side of fairness. And now people are saying that I'm not that person. And, it's just, to me, it would be comical if it didn't kind of make me a little bit angry, because I honestly don't believe issues have an R or a D next to them. I believe you vote your conscience on them. I don't believe that anybody can influence me. I think if you ever see something and you think I'm being bought by a vote, come talk to me about it and I'll explain to you how I reached my decision. And I'll explain to you that nobody bought it. Nobody bought it. I don't make enough money, and you're going to be able to tell real quickly if somebody was paying me off for something because I don't have that much. We got a truck, we got a house, and we got a couple kids who keep demanding iPhones. That's it. That's all I got to say about that.